Well, you can see this was from one of the Mid-Atlantic wrestling magazines. I threw the fireball in Ronnie Garvin's face in Charlotte in February of 1987. Now, actually, we just did it because I was going on my honeymoon, so that way I could get suspended for a couple of weeks. But because of the, not only the size and quality of the fireball and the aim straight in Ronnie's face, burned off all his nose hair, his eyebrows, etc., the top layer of skin, but it was on television. So I ended up, by the time I got back from Hawaii, I had like 18 or 20 death threats in the mail, and it was basically a lot hotter, no pun intended, than we thought it was going to be. So Dusty had the idea to book me against Ronnie Garvin in a cage match in the main event in Charlotte. So, as you can see, I got equal billing with Neil Diamond. He was at the Coliseum that week, and so was I. And Ronnie and I drew 8,000 people for my first and only main event in Charlotte in the Coliseum as a wrestler, and he beat the piss out of me in about 5 minutes, but at least he left me still breathing. I framed this because this was my paycheck stub for the Great American Bashes in 1986, along with the warm and fuzzy letter that we got from Jimmy Crockett saying that basically, if you read between the lines, Jimmy Crockett was saying this was more money than any of you jackoffs were going to make anywhere else, so even though it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, if you have any complaints, see me. Nobody saw him, because we just took it and ran with it. This right here is when I made the Associated Press for knocking a ringside fan out in Altoona, and this is actually the racket that was used in that attack, because what happened was we were wrestling the Steiner brothers, and this guy hurdled the barricade over the rail and tackled Bobby, or tried to, and Bobby grabbed him around the waist, and I came around the corner, and with one of my better shots, whacked him right in the forehead with the racket and busted him wide open. And the security finally got there and took him out, but the guy's bleeding from one end to the other, and they just took him out to the front door and said, okay, go away, while he's covered in blood. So he comes back in and attempts to start a riot, and that's when we ended the match real quickly and took off. And of course, his story when the cops came to investigate was he was standing by the ringside railing taking pictures when I, for no reason, went over and began bopping him over the head with the tennis racket. So there was two versions to every story. This is the Midnight Express wall. You know, we couldn't put everything up there because we won a lot of belts and made a lot of news, but this is kind of representative of that. Starrcade 85. This was our match with Jimmy Valiant and Ms. Atlanta Lively, who was managed by Big Mama, and my paycheck to go along with it. And funny, I've heard Manny Fernandez say that the Mexican death match with the Raging Bull versus Abdullah the Butcher was supposed to be the main event, but Dusty knew that he couldn't follow it. But apparently the printers knew he couldn't follow it either, because they printed these a couple weeks ahead of time, and then Bull and Abby were the fourth match. And this is me hanging off the scaffold at Starrcade 86. You can see the stripe on my pants and my nice gold shoes, as Bubba, who shouldn't have been wearing sunglasses because he missed me, is standing there waiting to break my fall. But unfortunately, the ring was there to break my fall.